And a corporate voice in the spotlight, Biocon Biologics. Let's understand the key growth drivers for the upcoming quarters. Shreehas Tambe is the CEO and Managing Director, now joining us. Thanks so much for taking time out. To begin with, let's discuss your year-on-year growth and largely on the back of the VIIS acquisition. Sequentially, you've got the revenues which were flat. What's the reason for that, and how is your core business shaping up? Because, what would be the growth ahead?
Yeah, and I think it's important to understand that we are at a stage where we are still transitioning the business from VIIS over to Biocon Biologics. And if you look back at the quarter that went by, there was a substantial portion of licensing income that accrued into the P&L, and that was almost to the extent of 165, 170 crores. Now, that was something that is, of course, not there this quarter. So it is always expected to be, a one-off. It can come in a particular quarter and may not be. But despite that, you're already seeing that the business has grown and has been able to make up for that entire licensing income. So this quarter, if you see, all the product sales have really made up for any licensing income that we had seen in the past. We'd also had a situation that we were working off legacy contracts from VIIS in the past, which had higher rebates, which continuing with those rebates would have meant that we would have further eroded margins, further eroded revenues. And that's something the team's been able to work with in the US. And not only have we been able to retrieve that business, but it's resulted in a higher market share. So we've almost not just grown the market share, we've led many of these products overall. So in the US, all three products have gained market share over last year. So if you look at that part, but even sequentially, over last quarter, we are starting to see growth even in Europe.
Right. Shreehas, your Q2 and, when it really comes to your quarterly performance, should one now then expect this kind of performance to sustain as we head into second half of the year, or you think there is an expectation of further improvement?
One of the key things that's happened over the course of the quarter that's just gone by is we've taken control of the business in North America and in over 70 countries in emerging markets. So what you're seeing partly is because of these transitions coming over and Biocon Biologics now in the driver's seat for over 50% of the business that we acquired from VIIS. I think you're starting to see that coming into Biocon Biologics P&L. And you're also seeing that despite that transition, you're able to see the performance in the mid-30s in the core EBITDA and the EBITDA being at the mid-20s, which is a healthy sign, and we expect that to continue in the coming quarters.
When do you expect to complete the trials of, Biocon and other drugs where the competitive intensity high? And assuming that if you're able to capture market share, what could be the upside?
Yeah, and I think this is an excellent question in terms of the pipeline, which our chairperson has always referred to as our lifeline. So we've prided ourselves on science and R&D, and we've got one of the most robust, deepest pipelines in the industry. What's really coming off in the next few years, and I would refer to another product in addition to ustekinumab and denosumab, is aflibercept. And aflibercept is a product where we have first to file status, which has now been approved in the EU, and we're also gaining approval in other geographies, including in Canada. So we are seeing this as a massive opportunity. That in itself is over $10 billion in global sales. We're also seeing opportunity in ustekinumab, which we had said we will look to file by the end of this year, and I'm happy to report that that's tracking to plan. We should be in a position to file before the end of the year. Denosumab is another great asset that we are developing, and that's also on track to file before the end of next year, as we've said before.
So how is the pricing pressure in biosimilars in the US? Because we understand that the price erosion as of now shows no signs of slowing down.
Yeah, and I think one of the key questions in all these pricing will always be an outcome of competition. And as competition grows and as regulation clears up, you will see pricing be dominant as things progress. And that's where I think we've taken a very strategic position in terms of being a fully integrated player, where we have control over all the three key levers that allows a company to stay competitive, which is developing its own portfolio, manufacturing its own products, and then also having a commercial engine which can bring these products to market. So I think we're in a very strong position, and we've seen erosion in certain products where price erosion can be as steep as 70-75%, and some others where you see limited competition, particularly biosimilars in the oncology space have not seen a very sharp competition in terms of the price erosion. We've seen that erode to about over 50, 60%.
We seem to be getting a bit of an audio issue there, but let's just move on, and we'd like to discuss with him, of course, VIIS's North America integration as well, which seems to be done, Shreehas. But what about Europe and the rest of the world? What's the timeline looking like?
Yeah, and I think this is a very key development overall in Biocon Biologics' journey. When we did this transaction and we completed that in November of last year, we had signed a 2-year transaction or transition services agreement, a TSA, with VIIS, because many of the markets that we've acquired, we had no presence, no infrastructure, no personnel, no commercial infrastructure in these countries. What's happened over the course
I think we seem to be having a bit of an audio issue, but it's been good having you on board. Thank you so much for taking time out and joining in.